so we'll go on to ticket prices, all that jazz. We've obviously seen the absolute ridiculousness of Fulham's £3,000 season ticket, which I have to do some googling, right? That makes it the highest season ticket price in the world to watch Fulham. £3,000 to watch Fulham. It's like £300 or something for a season ticket to City.
Yeah, and isn't the Bayern Munich season ticket only 450?
Something like that. It's just mad.
That's what I mean. You could go watch Bayern Munich. If you live in Germany and you can get hold of a Bayern Munich season, you're laughing, aren't you? You're seeing some of the best footballers in the world.
Yeah. Now, reading more into the Fulham bit, it is now the most expensive seat in the Premier League without hospitality. It works out at £157 per match for your ticket to watch Fulham play football.
That's mad, isn't it? In contrast, I have an Arsenal season ticket and it works out at £45 a game.
It's just mad. I don't get it.
I mean, who would you rather watch?
You know who the second?
I mean, it's West London, isn't it, for them? But still, that's ridiculous.
Chelsea. It's not Knightsbridge.
No, I'm just trying a devil's advocate. You know, it's way too much.
So to put it in context, right, it's £55 more than any other Premier League team per ticket.
And who's the next? Because only Spurs are up there with expensive.
Yeah, theirs works out for the highest, like non-corporate match day seat is £106.50 per game.
Yeah, I mean Arsenal's must be almost that.
But how does the dad take his 3 kids to go and watch the game of football?
Well, he don't at Fulham. Support your local teams.
It might be their local team, no.
Margate, Ramsgate, tenner.
Andrew, I know you wanted to speak about this. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I just saw it, and I think they were talking about like West Ham was 200, and all the for Fulham that have just come up to be charged. I mean, I know they built a new stand, right? But unless that stand is literally like on top of the pitch with like a glass ceiling where you can look down at the players, I don't see how they're charging that much without hospitality.
Also, if you're not queuing for beer, that'd make me think a bit more about it. If you just automatically got beer coming. Yeah, no one thinks.
Yeah, from any Fulham fans that are on that waiting list or getting a ticket for next season, I'd love to hear what's made you pay that money. Like, why have you decided? What's so good? I mean, I know you get to watch your team, but to pay £3,000, I'd love to hear from some Fulham fans.
Fulham fans, I'll message them and find out what they think.
Yeah, definitely find out.
Pay for a season ticket. If you got offered it right now, Andrew, a season ticket, how much would you pay? Probably more than £3,000 a year.
I'd probably pay. I mean, not that I can afford it, but I would probably pay between £2,000 and £2,500 for a season ticket. But to watch a team that's playing in the Champions League next season, a team that's nearly won the league, could win the league.
I've already had an email from Arsenal telling me my season ticket will be going up this year.
Oh, how much?
How much is it?
So I'll have to get the email up. It did sort of say, and they're lowering the games as well.
Are they?
Oh yeah, I think they said.
I get 19 Premier League games, obviously standard, and then I normally get 3 European games. So whether you're in the whether you're in the Europa League or the Champions League, and I think this year, so you're meant to get 2 FA Cup games as well. So I think in total you're meant to get 25 games. And I think they're lowering it to 22 games.
Yeah. So more money, less games.
So, well, my friend who's a bit more with it than I am, because I sort of read the email and then just put it down, because that's the kind of guy I am. He seems to think that it is going up, but it will stay a similar price because they've got less of the games. Does that make sense? So he seems to think that you won't be paying more for your season ticket. But where I just said it, because the 19 games is £45. If I actually put 25 games in, it'd actually be probably like 38 quid. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. So if you average it out, so in theory, it should stay the same. So yeah. So it's about 47 quid a game that I go to for the 19. But if I did 25, yeah, it works out 36. So I think what he was saying to me that obviously it will now be like 22 games instead of 25. So it'll actually be 40 quid. So it'll be going up like 4, even though it'll be the same price. I'll be losing out because I'm going to lose 3 games. But we will see so the price will go up.
It just brings me back to what I was saying a few weeks ago. I'm not going to go into this angle of it because we have already spoken about it. But when you're charging £3,000 to go watch your team play for a season, and that's just the home games, that's not the away games as well, and your team is not shown on TV because the TV only show X amount of games, what are you supposed to do? Pay £3,000 for a season ticket and then fork out for all the away tickets? Because you can't watch most of the games on TV, and especially Fulham probably get less games on TV than most other teams. I don't think it's an even split, so it's just another thing.
It's good even split. I mean, I'd love to know what it is, but
And if you've got £3 to pay for a season ticket, you're probably not worried about paying for Sky and that.
no, that's it. I mean, I pay for Sky and I've got a season ticket, and I barely watch games because I'm at the football. But if I can't go to a game, I'd like to watch it.
It is getting a bit much.
Not that big of a fan. You'll pay whatever it is if you can afford it. Now I know Arsenal do payment plans. Arsenal, you can pay for your season ticket monthly. They actually advise you, and so yeah, you can pay it monthly. When I got mine, the first year I got offered one, I actually didn't have the money for it, so I sort of had to refuse it because I said that, and he said that's fine, you'll be at the top of the list next season. But if you refuse it again next year, we'll move you back to the bottom of the list. So you're allowed one refusal at it. The following year, they phoned me up before I even said anything. He said, just to let you know, we've got no problem with you sharing season tickets. So it'll go in my name and I could sell half of it to you, Andrew, and we could share the games. They say that on the phone. They said that whether they're meant to say it on the phone or not, I don't know. But he said to me that, and he did say payment plans. Luckily, a year later, I had the money, so I could just buy it. But it is 0% as well. So they even though they're expensive, they do try and help you out a little bit. It's not like they throw an extra £100 on it.
Yeah,
They'll just divide it into I think it's 10 monthly payments.
I do think in general it is a bit too much for just the average fan to go and try and watch his team play. Even just once a month, there's a big chunk out your wages. You got to pay to get there. You obviously get your food, your beer. It's a couple of £100.
You say that, but again, don't support a team that's 100 miles away from you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you support a team, so you're here, you support a team alone, you still have to pay for it. Like if you didn't have a season ticket and say you didn't as much as you do or whatever, it's a couple of £100 to go to a game.
I think so, yeah. So an average ticket at Arsenal, I'd say, is about 50 quid, 50, 60 quid. So if you're not a season ticket and you want to go watch it, say it's 50 quid, like you're going to watch a mid-team game. You go watch an Aston Villa or something. I think when I went to watch before I had my season ticket, I went to watch Arsenal Aston Villa. It was £38 I paid. So that's 38 quid, which I think is quite reasonable. The train is also 30 quid with a rail card. So that's you're down to 68 quid. Bit of dinner, tenner from McDonald's, I don't know. 70, and then a few beers, say 3-4 beers. Yeah, so you can do it on £100 quite easily.
Yeah, and then when you take your kid that wants to go to football as well, that's another 70 quid, 60 quid.
But then he should be paying a kid ticket, which is normally half the price. I get what you're saying. It is expensive, but I think, especially if you only go once in a while, I think it's well worth the money. I don't think you can beat like a football person.
Do you know what I think that it would be good if I knew, right, that because speaking to somebody that would love a season ticket and can't get one, right, I would if I knew they were available. If I knew as soon as I could afford one, I could readily go and get one. The fact that I have to be on a waiting list for 9 or 10 years or whatever it is, and then I need to have that money either that year or the year after, I think that is what puts the pressure on fans to pay for things they can't afford because they know they won't get that chance for another 10 years if they don't. I think that's the problem.
No, I disagree, because you can phone up Arsenal at any time you want to find out where you are on the list, and they will calculate how long you'll roughly be. So if you really want to be on that season ticket wait list and you want to be in the season tickets, then you can find out where you are in the list, and you can find out roughly how long and how many years. So I could have phoned up and said, where am I on the list? If they told me I was 50,000 and they said to me, oh, that's roughly 10 years, I've only got to save £100 a year for 10 years. I've got £1,000 and I can buy one. I think it's a bit of a cop-out saying that.
I don't know. Like, you're obviously in a stable financial situation, right? There's a lot of people that aren't, right? I mean, I know you've got a young kid, right? There's people that have got young families. They've got people that are in between jobs, people that aren't earning every month. It's just a lot. I just feel like sometimes it's a lot of pressure. You know how like sometimes on gambling sites where you get these flash offers saying, "Oh, you can get these odds for this time only." People might not necessarily have that money because it's there and this is a one-time thing. They'll spend money they don't have. I'm not saying it applies to everyone, but if you look at the average people, if you take 50,000 people, at least 20,000 will fall into that. That's all I'm saying.
I was watching a Man United game a few years ago, right? And a price boost came on my phone. Paul Pogba to score next. It went from something like 5-1 to 15-1. And I thought, fucking hell yeah. I thought I'll have a go on that. So I stuck a tenner on it. 30 seconds later, they subbed him off. They would have known, that betting account would have known he would have been subbed off. They've done that on purpose. They've stolen my £10 because they would have known he was about to get subbed off. Because, as everyone knows, even though it's live, it's not actually live. You are 20 seconds behind.
Yeah.
I have walked into the Emirates late because I got a ticket problem, and it was against Chelsea, and I was 5 minutes into the game, and Lacazette scored, and I heard the crowd celebrate before I saw it on the TV in the concourse, which is showing the live game. So I know it is delayed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it is delayed, yeah.
So these betting companies know when who is getting subbed off, and I think that is naughty.
Don't gamble, kids. Don't gamble.
Don't gamble. It's not worth it. Do not buy season tickets unless you can afford it. Don't support your local club down the road.
This is me, I'm so royal, and you all wanna be round. Yeah, you all wanna be round. Round a champion. I got tons of soul on my true collective ball. Famous, also famous, #1.